Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Roadmap. For those of you that don't know me, and I hope there's lots of people out there who don't know me, I am Ben Shorrock. I'm the Managing Director of an organisation based in the West, in Bristol and Bath, called TechSpark. So I'm part of the team who have pulled together the event today. We're delighted to have you with us. We hope that this is a really useful day for everybody involved, and we can get some really practical actions coming out of this activity. What I wanted to do to start off the day was to give hopefully quite a quick overview of why we're here today, what we wanted to do out of the day, and what we hope that you got out of today. Then I will pass across to my colleague, David, who will give us a bit of a overview of some of the things we've been seeing across our various organisations across the UK. And then we will pass across to our colleague, Katie. Katie has pulled together a selection of short thought pieces from political leaders across the UK, who will set the scene really and talk about the types of things they would like to see and how they would like us to think about building back better. So with no further ado, I will show you a couple of slides. As I'm sure you all appreciate already, this is our first virtual conference, and we are using a system which we haven't used before. So if there are any technical hiccups, please do excuse that. We are all in very much a steep learning curve, so hopefully it will still be relevant and useful for everybody today. So what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about why we are here and what value, why we need to have these conversations. So I think it's probably fairly obvious why we're here, but to reiterate the problem, COVID has been an unprecedented problem across the world. The Asian Development Bank think it may well cost us $8.8 trillion. It's something where with unprecedented problems, we've had to pull together unprecedented solutions. The government, central government and local and national governments have put a huge amount of resource into supporting the economy through this crisis stage. But there is absolutely more that we need to do. And there is more that we want to do as the UK Tech Cluster Group. We are really keen that we can use today as an opportunity to bring people together from across the UK, from hundreds of different locations. There's over 500 people in the audience today, and really look at how we can develop solutions and actions and programs. As won't be a huge surprise to you all, as the UK Tech Cluster Group, we are absolutely keen, and we think it's imperative that we embed technology into the UK economy. It already is, but there's more opportunity to do that now. We have the scope to do lots today to help the tech sector across the UK, but also for the tech sector to be helping the rest of the UK economy. So that's exactly what we want to talk about. This is the first in a series of events and activities across summer. So following the activity today and the learnings we gain, the Tech Cluster Group is going to be pulling together a recovery roadmap report, which will hopefully be a literal roadmap for what we can do to drive recovery in the UK and how we can focus on build back better. So that's why we're here. Oh, spinny. Who are the UK Tech Cluster Group? So I thought it would be worth reiterating, because although all of our constituent organisations work very closely with their local ecosystems and local partners, many of you probably won't know who the UK Tech Cluster Group is. So we are a group of organisations right across the UK. We already work really closely with our public sector, and as you can see on the slide, we're fairly evenly spread across a number of towns and cities right throughout the UK. One of the things that I think is really important to say is all of us as organisations are grassroots, community-led organisations, and we genuinely have an unparalleled level of granularity into the challenges and the opportunities for the tech sector, because we spend all of our time with those businesses talking about what's needed and how we can help them. So we're hoping we can give you some really interesting and useful insights from today. So these are the organisations that make up the UK Tech Cluster Group. There's 13 of us spread right across the UK. And I think I've probably belabored the point a little, but this is our mission statement. So we are about connecting, sharing and growing. We're about redeveloping sustainable ecosystems through tech. So it's not just about us though. We have been working as well as with local government, with national government, and I know we have a number of colleagues from across Whitehall with us today. Later on this afternoon, Oliver Dowden, the Secretary of State, will be closing the conference and talking about some of the learnings we've gained today and where central government would like to see us drive activity. But they're super keen that we develop effective programs that can help the UK economy through this crisis. So it's fantastic that we have such strong support from central government and from the Minister today. We also have a whole selection of other speakers. So we have over 50 speakers speaking today from all over the world, stretching from the west coast of the US right through to Singapore. I think our Singaporean and Australian colleagues will be talking to us until about 11 o'clock at night at their time. So amazing that they're willing to do that. There's a huge amount of expertise who have come together today to have these conversations. So really, we're super grateful for that. It's a really important thing that we're doing. And I think from my perspective to all of the other organisations within the UK Tech Cluster Group, I wanted to say thank you, because we've pulled this event together in about 3 weeks. So the scale and the scope and the influence of the speakers today really does show how embedded we are into our communities. And I'm really pleased to see, not through design, but through the fact it's embedded into all of our cultures, that we have a really diverse and inclusive speaker lineup today. So I think that's really something that's worth sharing. In terms of other things for me to say, the only thing that I have left to say is something that's always super important at these events, because it wouldn't happen otherwise, is thank you to our sponsors. So we have 2 key sponsors today who are helping us. We have Technology One, who transform business by providing powerful, deep, integrated enterprise software that's incredibly easy to use. They work with over 1,200 leading local authorities and government departments across the world, and they are proud to be a technology partner for an initiative like this. And we have what I call TEAK, but it's actually the TIP Ecosystem Acceleration Centres. TEAK is a global sustainable ecosystem that attracts the brightest entrepreneurial minds and innovative investors to work together to produce breakthrough technologies that reimagine technology infrastructure. So some amazing partners there who are doing some fantastic stuff. So I know they are in the audience and will be involved in our sessions today, so please do have conversations with them. That's pretty much it from me. I have nothing more to say. I will see you all as the day goes on, I'm sure. But with no further ado, I would like to pass across to my colleague David, who will hopefully appear on the screen in a second.
I'm here.
There he is.
Thanks, Ben. Hello, everybody. My name's David Dunn. I'm the chair of the UK Tech Cluster Group. And today really is a landmark moment, because for the first time in 13 weeks, I've worn a collared shirt. So I don't think I really need to say any more other than let's get on with the event. No, I'm only joking. Of course, I'd like to say thank you to all the members of the UK Tech Cluster Group who basically in 3 weeks have built and developed this whole conference to this point of delivery. I'd like to echo Ben's thoughts and say thanks to all of the speakers who I think have acknowledged our ambition and our vision for this event. This also includes the Secretary of State, who will be joining us later on to do the keynote. I'd like to say thanks to the 500 people who've registered and will be joining us throughout different parts of the day, because they understand the importance of digital and technology in our economy and how it's going to impact not only our economic recovery, but our social recovery as well. I wanted to hit something head on. You might think this is strange, but there are very few technology companies at this event. Clearly, we, as the Tech Cluster Group, have an enviable connections to tech clusters across the UK. But today is about learning and developing ideas. It's not about sales pitches. Those connections and collaborations will come later on. But today is about connecting people who have the same jobs, who have the same missions, those who are there to grow their economies against this background of devastation of COVID-19. And our next stage, as Ben suggested, will be facilitating those connections, but also providing a report very quickly that will capture everything that's gone on today. So we're all here for a reason. We're here to understand how the technology sector can grow as part of our economic recovery, but also to understand how the digital sector can accelerate the change and recovery in other sectors. So how does technology underpin the recovery in other sectors, and how does technology grow in its own right? So before I move on to that, I want to give you a little bit more background to the group, adding to what Ben's already said. We set this group up more or less 2 years ago to the day. And our group has always been about understanding the ecosystems at a grassroots level. It's across these towns and cities, and understanding what is needed as real time has always been our driver and mission as the UK Tech Cluster Group. And when I talk about whole ecosystems, I mean whole ecosystem. That's big companies, small companies, early adopters of tech. Those huge, long-tail, active avoiders of technology are all part of our ecosystems. Skills play an important part in our ecosystems and cut across formal education as well as awareness raising in communities. This is a cohesive group. We share an understanding and we share learning that comes with localized delivery. But we do completely realize and understand that not every area is the same. Not all support for the tech sector or for digital adoption is transferable from Cardiff to Carlisle or from Newcastle to Norwich. But our expertise is understanding this nuance. It's a unique feature to the UK Tech Cluster Group, and it's a unique feature that our member organisations can bring to the areas in which they work. If you haven't already engaged with your UK Tech Cluster Group member, I implore you to do so. They bring with them an understanding and a connection to your local tech community no other organisation can. Our collective vision is about realising the potential in these ecosystems across the whole country. And by doing so, we can instigate a true leveled up economic recovery. And I think we all heard yesterday at the number 10 briefing, Matt Hancock, confirming that levelling up will be even more important as part of the government's future plan in the COVID-19 recovery. So Ben introduced me and said I would give you a little bit of an understanding of what we've witnessed so far. So I'm going to do that. But strangely, I'm not going to talk about surveys. I think lockdown, perhaps quite rightly, has seen more surveys of businesses than ever before. But today is not about reeling off a series of statistics and opinions. Today, you will get sentiment, you will get vignettes of the impact of the coronavirus, but these will be set in the context of how local areas and new projects can make a difference. You'll get real stories and ideas which are more powerful in my eyes than statistics. But I'm a realist. A lot of the people in this audience work in the public sector. And for a long time now, we understand that stories cannot single-handedly secure public funding. I know that you will need robust business cases, an understanding of market failure, 3-year plans and associated financial forecasts. And I'm going to cover that off in my session at 11:45. Does this still need to happen? Is the Green Book appraisal process and everything that's associated with it Is that still valid in this unprecedented time? But back to what we found out over the last 12 weeks from the tech sector in the regions. We've seen, as you can imagine, a significant increase in demand for digital adoption. Sometimes this has been well planned, albeit reactive, and sometimes it's been extremely rushed and probably, if I'm being honest, going to cause people a lot of problems. We've seen the same question asked in different regions and different areas of the country, but without any coordination of answer. Imagine the time and effort that's been wasted when a question has been asked in the south, that's been asked equally in the northwest. Imagine if those people could be connected and come up with solutions where they could share learning. And that's what the UK Tech Cluster Group is here to try and achieve. We've seen a huge potential for the increasing collaboration between large organizations, whether that be public or private, and smaller innovative tech companies. We as the Tech Cluster Group over the last 2 years have already facilitated a lot of this, but we think there's a lot more to do. Imagine an ecosystem where small companies and big companies work hand in hand, both to increase their R&D, to increase their innovation, but to increase their revenues and productivity as well. And perhaps strangely, or at least strangely when I heard it the first time, but makes sense the more you think about it, we see more people considering starting a business, considering starting a technology business. This focus on business creation could be a significant key to economic recovery. I've heard the terminology furloughpreneurs, and I think that's something we really need to explore. And it's certainly a thought within the Tech Cluster Group that there is a significant opportunity to grow more tech businesses over the next 18 to 36 months. And that's what the UK needs to drive its recovery. So the purpose of this event today, hopefully to add value to what you're all doing, whether you work in a local authority, a combined authority, a LEP, a devolved administration or central government. It's likely that you've tuned in and signed up because you understand digital is a horizontal enabler. You understand that tech companies are a mechanism for growth. Really, to use the terminology in a slightly different way, digital technology can be a true leveler. Today is about helping you understand the right levers to select, the right policies to implement, the best plans to put in place, and the right projects to back. Throughout all this, we also need to recognise the role central government plays in our regions and nations. We know in the audience today, we've got members from DCMS, MHCLG, Treasury, BEIS, DFE, and Number 10. And if we look at just BEIS's recent roundtable topics, they had 5 things they wanted to discuss: the future of industry, green recovery, backing new business, increasing opportunity, and how to win and retain more high-value international mobile investment. However, we must be careful that digital is not just an assumed presence in all of these things. Digital must be an overt element, acknowledged and recognised for its role it can play, hence the purpose of today. If I may, I'd like to leave you with a vision of what we can all achieve if we work on this together. Within a short period of time, we will have localized strategies for economic recovery that have a clear and highlighted role for digital adoption and digital sector growth. A national strategy that recognizes local nuances and enables regional and national tech sector growth and drives digital adoption across all sectors. And an ongoing dialogue to share learning and failure across the UK to ensure, as a collective, we have our finger on the pulse of digital supply and demand. I truly believe, and the UK Tech Cluster truly believe, that it's this balancing of supply and demand in local economies that will help the UK's economy grow and ensure that we continue to be an international digital powerhouse. This event today is going to help you through giving you an understanding, stories, connections, and the evidence and rationale to act to help your area, whether that be at a national level, a regional level, or a local level. It will give you the tools and ammunition to act to help you grow your economy. I'll provide more information as we wrap up later on when we introduce Oliver Dowden. But please be aware that, as I've said, within a short space of time, we will be sharing our first UK Tech Cluster report. And I'm going to leave you, before I hand back to Ben, with 3 key principles for the day. Enjoy the day, ask questions, and build relationships. Ben, back to you.
Thank you, David. That was super helpful at shaping what we want to be talking about today. A couple of minor things from me that I forgot to mention beforehand. If you are doing social media about today, please do use the hashtag recovery roadmap. I think lots of us will be talking on social media as well, so really useful to have those conversations. And as some of you will have noticed, there is a chat at the side on the right-hand side of the screen. Please do feel free to chat across both of those. What you might not have noticed at the top is there is a toggle that you can toggle to the stage or the event. So the event is obviously the entire event. The stage is just this part of it. So if you're chatting, it's just worth being conscious of that, because you might not get through to everybody if you can't otherwise. So next up, we have my colleague Katie. Katie has been helping us shape this process right the way through, and what she wanted to do was pull together some thoughts from some of our political leaders across the UK. This is the part where we are slightly more technically precarious than before, so please do bear with us if there are any issues with the videos. It's working off a second laptop of mine, so I think it'll be fine, but we never know. Thank you. Katie, I'll hand over to you and start loading up the video.
Great, thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. As Ben said, I'm Katie Gallagher. I'm the Managing Director of Manchester Digital, as well as a founding member of the UK Tech Cluster Group. So when we're first putting this event together, we thought it was really important to understand some of the regional ambitions and the priorities of leaders in the nations and regions. As you can imagine, with 3 weeks' notice, it was pretty impossible to get them all together at the same time for a live panel. So we decided to ask for some short video clips. This actually still presented some challenges, and despite my very, very best attempts at mayor herding, one of them still has managed to evade me and has missed the deadline to submit his video. But nonetheless, we are really delighted that we have 4 short thought pieces from Scotland, Manchester, Liverpool and Wales to give us some insights into priorities and what leaders want tech to deliver for their regions. From Scotland, we have Kate Forbes, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Finance. We have Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester. From Liverpool, we have the Mayor, Steve Rotherham. And from Wales, we have Lee Waters, the Deputy Minister for the Economy and Transport. He's also the lead for digital. And fingers crossed that the videos have loaded and Ben can play them.
Hi everybody, thanks to Scotlanders and the UK Tech Cluster Group for the invitation to speak at this timely event on the roadmap for recovery. As Cabinet Secretary for Finance, economic recovery has been at the forefront of my thoughts these last few months. And like many of you, I don't believe it would be in our best interest to go back to the way things were before. The pandemic has highlighted numerous lessons and opportunities to us all, whether that's about the economy, our communities, the environment, and crucially, about the role of technology. I believe firmly it's up to us to focus on those lessons so that we can reposition our economy and ensure it delivers what's important to us. What the crisis has shown is that technology is incredibly important in shaping the choices we make about our future. The pace at which we have been forced to adopt new technologies has been breathtaking. We have achieved in months what would have previously taken years because we had no choice. As I've said recently, Scotland's recovery will be a national endeavour where business and government work much closer together than ever before. And that applies particularly to the tech sector. Technology will shape the type of economy we have and the type of society we become. But it's never been and won't be about just what government says and does. As a sector, when your technology changes the world, you bear a responsibility to help address the world that you have created. And my ask of you today as public policy makers and industry is to think about the choices that we need to make in order to have the type of economy required to give us the society that we want. In Scotland, we are clear that we want an economy that has well-being at its centre. And I'll leave by saying that our recovery and our future success will be determined by the choices that we make. Choices that must be shaped by the characteristics, the experiences and the talents of every region of Scotland. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester. Here we have the ambition to be the UK's leading digital city region, and we're getting somewhere close to achieving that. With a 5 billion digital ecosystem, we're in a clear second place to London, and of course we want to go further. And we believe our strength in digital has served us well during the current crisis. We've been innovating in digital to help secure our residents through this challenge. In particular, we've now created an integrated health and care record for all 2.8 million citizens in Greater Manchester, which is a huge step forward. We've created a new digital surveillance system in social care, but also we've seen innovation in business, retail, increasingly moving into the online space, and developments in cyber too. So the world has taken a big step into the digital space in the middle of this crisis. And we believe Greater Manchester is well placed now to benefit from that as we move forward. There are two things specifically I would say will need to be big priorities in the coming weeks and months. The first is infrastructure. Many people have been working at home through the crisis, but of course, levels of digital connectivity vary across Greater Manchester as they do across the country. We are pushing on with a plan to deliver full fibre to the premises in Greater Manchester, and we have a plan that will take us to 40% coverage. Let's see if we can go even further, because that's the infrastructure that we're going to need going forward. And of course, there are jobs that can be created by building out our digital infrastructure in the coming months. The second area is digital skills. Given that we've taken a leap into this digital world, it's been great for many people, but it could accentuate the divide between the digital haves and the digital have-nots. So I'm very focused on ensuring that we increase digital training for all of our citizens so that everyone can get into the conversation in the online space. I want to see more digital conversion courses provided through the adult education budget so that we can help adults who may be struggling in the job market to reposition themselves towards the digital economy. And that's something that we have in place. And more broadly, let's think about how we get tech packages to those young people, particularly who don't have access to the online space. We've started that through a new tech fund in this crisis, getting laptops and data packages to kids in some of our more deprived communities. But I think we can go even further still working with the industry. And I put the call out to all of you in the industry, work with us to get everybody online, to build a true digital economy in Greater Manchester where everybody plays their part and has their place. And actually, let's keep making this a space where we innovate in digital. Greater Manchester has such a proud tradition in innovation, in bringing on the new. We're ready to do that again with all of you. And we think that the digital economy will be a big part of Greater Manchester's recovery. Thank you.
Pandemic struck. We in the Liverpool City region were laying the foundations to build the fairest, greenest and most inclusive economy in the whole country. And whilst our plans have been disrupted, we've still been progressing proposals during this lockdown period. We're looking at this recovery stage as a real opportunity to hit reset and radically change the way we do things to build back better. We need to ensure that some of the positive things we've seen during the past few months, such as better air quality and recognising our minimum wage heroes, aren't lost in a return to pre-COVID ways of working. Now, before the pandemic struck, our region was amongst the fastest growing in the whole country, whilst our digital and creative sectors were growing significantly faster than the national rate. Those strengths that help drive that growth will play an important role in helping us to recover and rebuild. We all know it's going to be some time before we're anything back to resembling normality, but there are things we can do now that can be beneficial to our region, and they'll help us see beyond this really difficult period. We know that improving the region's connectivity through full fibre broadband can unlock up to £1 billion in economic benefits for the city region alone. And we also know that digital inclusion will be massively helpful for people, for instance, working from home with their new flexible ways of working, schooling as we move towards a blended learning curriculum, and of course accessing benefits which are now primarily online. As we move through this crisis, I want to put infrastructure in place to help our digital sector thrive and expand. And I want to work with you to put our region at the forefront of the country's recovery from this terrible crisis.
Hi, I'm Lee Waters. I'm the Deputy Minister for the Economy and Transport in the Welsh Government and the lead for digital. And I think COVID has thrown up a whole series of opportunities for not just getting the tech sector mainstreamed in the way that we design and deliver services, but to allow us to leapfrog developments by seeing new possibilities. We've seen the shake-up that COVID has provided. There's one example in the NHS in Wales, where rolling out a tech project could take 5 to 7 years, and we've been able to get video conferencing out to every GP practice in Wales within about 4 weeks, and that simply wouldn't have happened without the disruption caused by COVID. And that disruption can help us to spread digital too. And I think it's important we don't be passive about this. We need to seize this as a positive opportunity. We know that the fourth industrial revolution and AI developments have huge disruptive effects. And if we simply let ourselves be shaped by these forces, it's going to be very hard to bring people along with us. But if we can set out a narrative which shows that they can be part of creating a better way of doing things, we've got a real chance, I think, to seize on the opportunities and to build back better in the modern parlance. We in the Welsh Government are creating our own Centre of Digital Excellence for the public sector in Ewyl Vale to bring together local government and health and the chief digital officers to act as a training ground for digital leaders and also to act as a test bed for digital techniques and practices. And I think that's the key thing here, is that tech should no longer be seen in a silo. Tech should be seen as the way we do things. And every business needs to get their head around this, or the disruption will hit them in a way that will not be positive.
Thank you very much, Kate, Andy, Stephen, Lee, for sharing those insights. And there is always one who has to film in portrait. I think we got some very clear messages emerging from those talks. There is definitely an appetite from the regions and nations to learn and act on the lessons that COVID-19 has taught us, and ensure that the economy that we build back is inclusive, greener, and has a focus on well-being. Ensuring that we equip more people with the right skills for the future is also a key priority for leaders, and ensuring that as the economy changes, people can reskill and join the digital workforce. I think this also means that the regions need to work hard in terms of trying to close that digital divide, and that does come down to things as practical as making sure that every school child has a device they can use at home as well as at school. Connectivity and infrastructure were mentioned numerous times. We know that many regions have aspirations and are some way down the journey for full fibre connectivity. Obviously, that needs to include those areas currently underserved, possibly where there are rural challenges and where there are pockets of deprivation. It will also be interesting in some of the panels to understand more about the benefits that 5G can bring to the regional economies. Finally, I thought Lee ended on a reasonably stark warning that businesses must transform and adopt digital technologies if they are to survive. And I know from my experience with the companies I work with over the past few months, transformation and the demand and desire to transform has dramatically increased. And there's been lots and lots of case studies we've seen of very small companies and companies that work very much in their local area, even moving to online models. And as luck would have it, without any particularly extensive planning, well, just the 3 weeks of it, all the sessions that are running across today will be looking at these issues in detail. We'll be looking at whether a great regional scheme's running that can be scaled up and shared with other regions for their recovery plans and strategies. And we will also find out more about the priorities of the businesses and where they match and differ from the public sector, and how we can ensure that we're all heading in the same direction for some positive outcomes for our localities. It's actually time for a quick break now. So if you can, please go and charge your cup with your beverage of choice. I believe that Ben will explain to you that there's an opportunity for networking, and he will also explain to you how the sessions will work after the break. So back over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Katie, and thank you for that summary. So as Katie mentioned there, we are going to go for a break for everyone to recharge their cups and give people a chance to absorb. We've thrown quite a lot of information at you in 40 minutes there. When we come back from the break, there's a couple of things that are worth bearing in mind. So please do go and make a coffee, but then come back. On the left of your screen, you should see a little logo that says networking. Please do use the networking today. So for any of you that haven't previously used Hopin, what it does is it randomly matches you with someone for a one-to-one video chat for 4 minutes. And at the end of the 4 minutes, it cuts you off. So it's a bit like business speed dating. It's a really useful, interesting way to have very quick conversations. You can connect through that if you want to continue your conversations later. But we're hoping that will be a great way for people right across the country to be able to engage and chat. So that's going to be in the networking break now, this afternoon, and over lunch. When we come back from networking, we're going to go into our workshop sessions. So at 11:15, we will be coming back from our break and networking. And what we have is a series of 6 sessions before lunch. They run 3 in parallel. So there's 2 half-hour sessions, but you need to choose which ones you want to do. If, like me, you're particularly interested in lots of different things, please don't worry, because this is virtual, we are recording all of the sessions. So we will capture all the information and we'll be able to share that later on. But please do choose a session and join. Feel free to flip between if you want to. So at 11:15, we have 3 sessions running in parallel. The first of those, touching on Katie's points, is around reskilling and training, and that's about enabling the digital workforce. So our colleague Mel is going to be talking about how, in the face of this crisis, we can reskill the workforce to make sure that they're digitally savvy and can increase their future employability. At the same time, our colleague Phil will be running a session on connectivity, broadband and 5G. So he'll be having a conversation about the value of 5G and how that's going to change the sector as a whole and how it can be used to make communities happy, healthy and prosperous. So that will be happening. And then the final session happening at the same time at 11:15 is one with me. So I assume you'll all want that one. That's called the Investment Landscape, a Fairer Future. So that's particularly focusing on startups and scale-ups and how we can make sure that we ensure that all of the best companies can access investment to grow, regardless of where they are in the country, which is currently not the case. Following those 3 sessions, we'll have 3 more sessions, which are digital for young people, the future of space, and economic growth and digital adoption. You should be able to see them all in the sessions part to the left of the screen when you go in there. There's a very brief blurb. If not, please do also look on the website, because on the website we have more in-depth blurbs on every session. Or feel free to ask me or one of the other organisers in the chat what's going on and how to get some directions. I believe I am called UKTCG today, so feel free to message me and I will see how I can help, or someone else in the team will as well. That's pretty much it from me. Please enjoy your break, please enjoy the networking, and we will see you back at 11:15 in the sessions section, so sessions on the left. Have a great day. Thanks.